Welcome to the most opinionated hour on radio and the nation's thought-provoking hour. I am Ansah Kwao, the fourth chief of the Little Republic of Akwemu Edumasan. And I say thank God it's Monday, another blessed day to meet up and do what we do best, perform one of radio's most important ritual, a ritual that wakes us up, brings us to reality, a ritual that gets our blood boiling, sometimes gets us very passionate, even angry, but above all, it tells us that we can do better and we must do better. Folks, welcome to the ritual I call That's My Opinion. It's only on Joy 99.7 FM. You can catch it live on Facebook and also on YouTube. Can you imagine? So you can go back and watch all the opinions you have missed on YouTube. How wonderful is that? Folks, every Monday at this time, we meet up and do this beautiful ritual. Our topic today, folks, school intake versus population intake. School intake versus population intake. Let me start by giving you, the opinionators, if I may call you that, a lot of credit. In fact, lots of credit. Now, why do I say so? So, folks, some time back, in fact, I remember the first time I attempted to talk about population issue on this show. The only thing that saved me, folks, the only thing that saved me is that there's no technology whereby people can travel through their phones, through my mic. Otherwise, the amount of people who have come to this studio to give me dirty slaps, I wouldn't be able to count. It was a no-go area. It was a taboo subject. Hey, God looks after children. How dare you tell us how many children to have and how not to have? After all, China has 2 billion and they're doing well. Those were the arguments. Folks, the more people we have, the bigger the market. And so, more people is definitely the better. So people used to get angry. And I remember when the NPC executive director, God bless her cotton socks, Dr. Letitia Pia said that we should have 3 children per woman. That's an ideal number. If insult could kill, I'm sure by now we'll be writing her obituary. Oh, they gave it to her. They gave it to her left, right, and center. 3 children per woman. However, today, folks, the subject of population can be put on the table for a discerning conversation. I'm shocked. Honestly, it's come such a long way. Today, I can bring a subject of population, for discussion and opinion, and we can talk about it without people getting angry or dismissing you. We can talk about it. So I think we have come a long way, and we deserve, to be congratulated for that. For JSS students who wrote BEC are getting ready for SHS. And if you see the desperation, if you see the pressure, the worries on parents and students, the sheer numbers, folks, all hoping to get a place in one school or the other. It's so sad. The queues, the begging, the pleading, recently, the bribing just to get a place. Sometimes you think it's only the A schools. No. You go down to, the B schools and the C schools, and still there's a lot of pressure there. But bear with me, folks, because I'm not here to talk about the technicalities of who got in and who did not. No. I know that's an issue, that's a subject that maybe we have to bring on board to talk about, but I am not here to talk about the technicalities of who got in and who did not. That's not my focus today. I am trying to look at how it is that we got here in the first place. I am trying to focus. Look at the bigger picture, which is something this show is very good at. Stand back and look at the bigger picture. Why is it that we have gotten here in the first place? And again, let me give credit to Dr. Letitia Apia, Executive Director, National Population Council, because I chanced on a speech she gave at Legon with regards to the menace of teenage pregnancy and the pressures it puts on society and education in particular. And I thought it was phenomenal. And sometimes, when you bring things from other people's perspective, it helps. It helps. Folks, in her opening statement, and I quote, and she said, since this engagement is being held on the university premises, I believe it is in order to acquaint ourselves with some facts. In 1950, hear me out, in 1950, the population of Denmark and Ghana were 4.267.693 and 5.077.595 respectively. In 2023, the population of Denmark is 5.883.262 and Ghana is over 31 million. Folks, he's saying that in 1950, the population of Denmark, if I round it up, was 4.3 million, and of Ghana, 5 million, respectively. In 2023, the population of Denmark, which was 4.3 million, is now 5.8 million. And in Ghana, from 5 million, we are now 31 million. So whereas we were about a million, just about a million more than them in 1950. Today, they are 5.8. We are over 31 million. I could probably end the show from here and start taking calls. Folks, currently in Ghana, the population of public school children from primary to JSS, this is not even SHS for University for by, is more than the population of Denmark. So, if the government of Denmark wakes up in the morning and he's concerning himself with his population, because 5.8 million are Denmark, right? They will need hospitals, they will need roads, they will need shelter, they will need sanitation, they need water, they need food for the whole country. So whatever the government of Denmark is concerned himself about the whole country, that is what our government has to worry about, say, about primary school for. Coming to think about it, they are all human beings. They have to eat, they have to use the bathroom, they need to use a road, they need to get home, they need security, they need doctors, they need health. So whatever it is that Denmark is planning for their country, we just have to plan for Mofreku School University for Krankam. That is the reality that we face. But check this out, folks. Denmark has a GDP of about $400 billion, of which, according to the World Bank, 6.3% was spent on education. The data I got was in 2020. 6.3% of their GDP was spent on education. Joe, that's about $24 billion. They have a total student population of around 700,000. These are reality. 700,000 people in school. And not only public schools, though. Some of these are, part public, part private. I couldn't, to me, I'm breaking it down. All these 700,000, they all don't depend on government. Some of them are the bees, and they are doing their private and paying their school fees. So deduct them from, but let's assume they all didn't public school. Let's assume all the 700,000 students are depending on the state. The state is paying $24 billion towards educating them. Folks, back home, at $2 billion, spent on education in Ghana. It's no surprise that 2.3 million students in Ghana have no desks to write on. Desk. 2.3 million have no desks to write on. And it's probably the most basic item on any school list. We are not talking projectors, computers, research material, just desk. 2.3 million children in Ghana don't have desk. Unbelievable. As for toilets, I dare say not. Now, one of my wildest dreams was to build one of the most beautiful primary schools ever to get the most basic education in the Republic of Edumasa. I got in touch with Imperial Homes. They got the architects to give me this wicked design school. They started helping me to build it. Actually, the school was just too big. Eventually, we got some NGOs to come in through the council to build it and everything. So they finished the school and I asked them, where's the toilet? The engineer says, no, there's no toilet because in a Sujamine, toilet is not part of school policy. I thought he was winding me up. I called DC, so I'm paying the EC school and EC toilet. And I said, trust me, I won't be there for the opening of the school. I will go around and seek to see if I can get somebody to help me because when we started the school, we did all the pipings and everything for WCs to be fitted in the school. So until I go around and get some benevolent, educators who believe in education to help me to build a toilet, I won't come and sit down for you to open a school that has no toilet. I mean, what sort of backwardness? I mean, this is like Flintstone. This is like Flintstone, yabadabadu. Now, tidiabisonaoba. Build a beautiful school, ICT center, staff common room. There's a male and female teacher toilet, which I've done everything. There's 3 toilets for boys, 3 for girls. Part of the Sujama is a school. We don't have toilets. I mean, even the thinking is, apart from the money being a problem, the thinking is also a problem. Not to talk about the dilapidated structures dotted in the country. So at this rate, what quality and how much equity can be derived under these circumstances, considering that in these present times, education is the leveler. Gone are the days when you had land, you were a leveler. When you had gold, you were a leveler. Today in this world, education is the leveler, whether you are rich or poor. If we are all able to go through school and graduate from university, we don't care where you started from. We have become equal. If you take somebody from the gutter today and take somebody from the palace today and they all become doctors and graduate, they are all doctors. You can't say this one is a lower doctor and this one is a higher doctor. They are all doctors. And so one of the major things to bring equity and quality into any nation is education. And here we are, folks. Here we are. How are we going to get this when there's no slowing down in the intake of the national population? Because the school population, it's absorbing what the nation is bringing in. Non-absorb. How are the schools, folks, going to absorb what we are bringing in? How fast can we build schools? I mean, if you look at the population of Denmark, which means as far back as 1950 till today, they could probably be using the same schools that they had in 1950. They will just beef up security, beef up their computers, pay teachers more, increase research, go take trips. Just but here we are, from 5 to 31 million, E block, Y block, G block, F block. No matter the block you build, because you better wash it. Now, one of the interesting things that I found in Doctor's speech was, and let me quote here. It says, the second fact I want to state is about a certain family of over 20 siblings, and one child had 7 children. One of the 7 had 4 children, and one of her 4 had 8. To date, the woman has 53 descendants of her children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren still counting. Just a moment, currently, on here 2 classrooms. At 53, no, on here 2 classrooms. And at this rate, you ask them, how much are they contributing even to this? At this rate, when all your teenagers are giving birth, how much are they contributing for you to tax, to build a school, build a road, pay a doctor, pay a nurse? You can't survive. This is just a recipe for more poverty, touch and go, tokenism, and failure. Just building a recipe for tokenism, which would definitely lead to failure. Folks, the issue of family planning, the issue of education, say, listen, quality birth is better than just awododoye. Those days are gone when you needed many hands to plow. I mean, people used to marry extra hands because they had 10 acres of land. So they will marry 6 or 8. And rightfully so, because they all had hoes and cutlasses and they had to cultivate 10 acres. So, first wife gives you 6, second one 4, fourth one gives you 7, not just a year doko. But today, one child, even a lady, will just jump on a tractor and plow the whole 10 acres under 1 day or 2 days. And today, in the advent of vaccines and antibiotics, nobody's dying. Today, you give birth to a child today, the eyes are open. I remember those days, children used to take them a whole week before they open their eyes. And very soon they'll be coming with teeth. They are pumping the mothers with so much vitamins and minerals and steroids. The babies are coming and they are ready to just jump up and go away. If we don't bring education like this to the palaces, to the church, to the mosques, the synagogues, the shrines, so that we then tell people, say, slow down. Because this is just a recipe for poverty. I mean, why do you think children are jumping in and out of the Volta River to fish nets? What, you think because their moms don't love them? They just can't afford them. He's got a ball of kenke to survive on in a day. She has 5, 6 children. So what? Watch them to die? Debbie, she keeps 2, gives 4 away. Gives 4 away. So the issue of family planning, folks, if we don't go back and slow down the population intake, nothing will get. And yet the politicians, very rarely would you find any politician, standing up to say, Charlie, hold on. Enough is enough. Folks, no matter how poor a woman is or Baba Akua, they are always close by. No matter how poor. It's when they have 6 and 7, then they don't care. You drive by the traffic lights at night and there are children there ready to clean your windscreen, or they're selling lemon, and if you don't buy it, then you have to give me money. And sometimes it's very intimidating. Let's bring the issue of family planning on the table as a major subject. Major subject. Because, why do you think the average child in Denmark would go through school and become somebody? Almost like a guarantee. And the same child comes here and you know that it is a hit and miss as Obeya and Onye. And when you get to a stage in a country where you can pick and point, say, this child won't survive. This child is not going to grow up to be anybody. This is going to grow up to be somebody. Then you know, say, this is a problem. Because generally you should look at every child and know that, this child is going to grow up to be somebody, so that when they fall off the ladder, it's a surprise. Rather than when they fall in line, it's a surprise. Hey, why? How can we build a nation based on the probability of you failing rather than the probability of you becoming somebody? So this cool issue where people are crying and begging and jumping and jigging and all this bribery, it's not going to stop. Folks, it's not going to stop unless the population stops producing too much. Unless we stop producing too much. Because even if money is not an option, even if money was not an option, with nearly 1 million babies a year, Charlie, and this economy where how are you going to fund them? Children cost money, and modern children cost too much money. I mean, for a child today to catch up with what is happening in the world, they will need a smartphone, they will need a tablet, they will need some computer, they will have to be hooked onto something. Otherwise, you are joking. If you want to compete, and this child has to compete with a child in Tokyo, in New York, in London, in Paris. Because gone are the days when if Uko school Martin in Paris, you compete with to be ordered to snow. Debbie. Today your competition is miles away. Hooked onto some data online doing something. You can't be stuck behind an exercise book hoping, say, in 20 years' time, you and Lee Chan will go and compete. Compete in what? And those things cost money. So let us slow down on the number of people coming so that these blanket policies say, let's slow down. Because, Joe, assuming even if today, so somebody bold enough to bring the policy today, folks, it will take probably about 10 years for it to kick in. As they call population momentum. Those that were born last year, those that were born 2 years ago, 3 years ago, they are yet to come to school. They are yet to come to school. So even if we started today, when is it going to kick in? Japan started in 1970. It's only in the Nansiyana kicking in when they started declining. 50 years for them to start declining. So, folks, this pretends the brofuna does. So this, everybody picks a mic and we are doing well. We do the well. How can you have just about 40% of your students in school and a what table of extra so you are doing well? Doing well by what standards? I'm sure even schools in hell, the basic there will be some flaming chair or desk in hell. I'm sure even in hell, you are admitted to hell primary. The least Satan will give you is a chair. Although I'm not teacher, a chair. So if in 2023, as for toilets, running water, but just a table and chair. Table and chair. Yeah, out. Over 100,000 teenage pregnancy. If you take 1,000 teenagers, 140 of them will be pregnant. As Dr. Letitia speaks, even those who are not pregnant, look at how difficult it is for them to go through school, let alone tagging along another one. Babies looking after babies. 100,000 year in, year out. 100,000. I was looking at some statistics. Sweden, they recorded zero. No teenager got pregnant. But no teenager got pregnant. How can you have one country recording zero and somebody recording 100,000? Meanwhile, every Friday we are jumping all night. The Muslims are praying. And then we'll sit there and condemn those who don't go to church. Say, 100,000 teenagers going to school. And it's like magic. Those who get pregnant to children, like magic, their children also get pregnant. It just becomes a cycle and it becomes so difficult to break it. Okay, who's my first caller?
Nana.
Yes, sir.
This is Kwame.
Kwame, let me hear you.
Nana, thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Nana, what have we done as Ghanaians who deserve this? Nana, sometimes it is too bad and sad. I don't know why deliberately we have decided to make people more gullible and vulnerable. Nana, come to think of this PSS, PSN, this school computerized something. Nana, why have we decided to create an artificial problem? Why have we categorized certain schools as category A, B, Q, Z? Who should take the award to the Z? Nana, how is this tenable? And I sometimes I wonder why no Ghanaian lawyer has taken GS to court, because this is clear discrimination. And sometimes the teacher union, because you go to a certain school, Nana, it will surprise you. A class of 100 students, you won't find one person who is able to read coherently. Meanwhile, some teachers are in some schools, some particular refuge schools. You go there, you just tell the kids, read from pages 1 to 5. They have read and understood everything. And they are getting same salary, same remuneration. Nana, how is this possible? Nana, it's time we stood up. See, our leaders are making us more vulnerable. They always want to create social stratification. The rich are always rich. You see, these schools are fast developing. You go there, they have robust all students associations, and they are putting up more buildings. Those in categories B and Q, who should go and develop? How do these schools get to category A level? Nana.
Thank you very much for calling. This is from Dr. Udru Osai. And it says the above will reduce the financial burden government on government. It says and lead to equity in sharing of the national cake through the free SHS system, improve the enhanced private participation in education so that private schools would continue to be in business and teachers would be motivated. But we need a national human resource development policy to enable us project our future human resource need in various professions to enable us train them accordingly. As of now, because that is not available and it's unregulated, people pick and choose what programs to do and schools to decide on which programs to offer. And he's saying that we should definitely some tax rebate and incent private schools so that government, those who want to go to government private schools will get some rebate and then reduce the pressure on the state. Hello, who's talking to me?
Good evening, Anna.
Good evening.
And I trust you're doing well.
I'm very good.
Anna, you have done very well not to be chastising the government alone of their inability to produce accessible education to all. And it looks like you're advising the fish and also advising the cat at the same time. And I once told somebody that if you are able to send your 2 children to university and you are able to send your 4 children to finish SS, the 4 with SS, they can't compare themselves to the 2 who has completed university. This is the point that you are making. For the fact that the government is not able to provide accessible education to every child, as they proclaim that accessible education to all, but they don't have the capacity to do it. They should try as much as possible to control the population, to let us be aware that we don't have enough resources to cater for you, for the education to be accessible to everyone. Because we still have people learning under trees, people are putting their books on their laps, writing, and some of the schools, dilapidated buildings, and I mean a whole lot. So I think you are on point. God bless you for speaking the truth.
Thank you for connecting. Good evening, Nana. Nice and critical submission today. But Nana, the question is who is going to enforce that policy, knowing that the core problem of Ghana is enforcement of rules and laws and policies. Pa Kofi in Lakeside. Good evening, Pa Kofi. This one says, good evening, Nana. Thank you for bringing this issue up. I think our main problem is high ignorance and some of our cultural norms that are outmoded. We measure blessings and success by the number of children one has. And the problem is we don't even know our unchecked population growth is a problem. This is disheartening when I think about our future with this mentality and socialization. Seth Banana in. Hello, who's talking to me?
Hello, Nana. My name is Caesar Kaba Kogzuga. I work with PPAG, Land Planning Association of Ghana. And I think this is my first time listening to you on air.
Okay.
And I must say I have been touched because for the first time in a while, I see somebody who understands the impact of sexual and reproductive health, especially family planning and economic development. And I want to say that a lot of the times we even mention about managing the number of children that people give birth to and forget to highlight the aspect of spacing. That it is not just about the children that are being born, but it's also very much about the health of the mothers that are giving birth to those children. It is well known across the globe that only men cannot work to feed the entire population. And so women and their empowerment is very key to reach where we want to get to. What that means is that we can't live in a state where women continue to get pregnant by accident and are laid off their work and depend on men who make little salary to feed them and their families. So we must make sure that women and girls have access to the information and services they need so that at the end of the day, when they decide to get pregnant, it is planned and they are able to take care of the babies that come out of that. And that is very significant if we want to reduce the dependence ratio in the country. And that is the only way we can reach economic development. And it is unfortunate that we have to keep drumming this, and the government, state authorities who are in policy positions are not taking keen interest in this. When our MPs who go to the constituencies and have to take their common fund to feed people with their daily bread, and they forget to even talk of developmental projects. So there are so many issues, but if we don't come together as a country and stop behaving like ostriches and speak for family planning and spacing children, our country will not get to where we want to, and the children will continue to go to school for school feeding program rather than going to learn. And those are the things that we have to highlight. I thank you very much for the opportunity. Please continue to do this for the development of our country and for the future of this nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you too very much. This one says, ha ha ha, Nana. It says, you killed me right there. Flaming chairs and tables in hell at least. We are just not doing basic things right. I ask myself, so what at all can government provide? We are light years behind countries we despise. FM in OEB Estates. Good evening. FM 0302 216 541. Folks, that's it. It's you see, even though we have many issues, we have corruption, we have lack of maintenance, we have this, we have that, but you see, a great percentage depends on the numbers of new babies we get in a year. Because, you see, people cost money and people will have to survive at all costs. One of man's basic instinct is to survive. So once they pop out, they are in to survive. And you as a state, you have no choice but to give them some survival means. Now, teenagers who are giving birth can produce to the system. So they are not giving you any money. You have to find some money from somewhere for them to survive. Now, in that sort of survival, you're not going to get up in the morning and have eggs to eat and have a warm bowl of cocoa, get a nice car and drive in, sitting down in a nice cool classroom. Debbie. So it becomes tokenism. Okokakra. Now we are kokakra, bukakredi. I mean, when they bring the school feeding food, we all look at it with this disgust. That what is this? But believe me, there are people in that school not because they are going to learn, but it's their means of survival. that hot meal a day. That's why their child is in school. That it's an indictment on us to have a great number of children in school. A great number of children in school only because they have a hot meal a day. And yet because the teacher Rebecca, it's not because they will have some games, they will go to the garden, they have a trip to the zoo, a trip to the park. No. Joe, a ben coin be a sako be near the movie gunchain, that meal a day. That meal a day. Somebody just told me something about a child, student that was in school, and anytime the one color truck was going home, he would beg the house master that patrol, let me stay with the gold truck. When the green comes, let me stay with the green truck. So for 3 years, because when he goes home, he will starve. So let me stay. And I hear, luckily he got 8 ones or something. It was passing year. But he was in school because of survival. Not because of knowledge. Survival. And it's a reality. Hello, who's talking to me?
Hello, this is Francis from Drapo.
Francis, let me hear you.
Oh, and Nana, let's keep on talking about this. And maybe it will catch up. Because the policies, like the school feeding we are talking about, it started several years ago. But today, if assessment is carried out, I'm sure we will have 50% of the people who have been targeted, who can be identified as being affected. So nobody cares. We talk about and then nothing. Because of the population, we know very well that we won't succeed in that aspect. So let's keep on talking about this population and then planning for whatever children we are bringing forth. Otherwise, as you said, 50 years, 60 years, 100 years to come, we'll do the same point. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Nana. Intelligence submission on such a sensitive topic like the future of SHS education in Ghana. Governments over the years have put their own grandeurs and selfish interests to derail the proper values of education of our teenagers. We need to stop populist programs and focus on human-centered approaches to equip students in today's digital age for a better tomorrow, rather than superficial outcomes like WASI results, which may not tell the full story. Citizen Siga Togo from East Legon. Good evening. From Sami Eyim Ayiku, proprietor of Penfield, another wonderful, wonderful school. And it says, encourage private schools through subsidies and tax waivers for educational infrastructure so they can also absorb some pressure no government not so too much. Sami, thanks for tuning in. Shem Mixin Yabua, Bros Barbecue. Good evening, Nana. When a clown moves into a palace, he doesn't become a king. The palace becomes a circus. We are so blessed as Africans. Human resource is a revenue generating venture, but even the natural resources we had for free, how well have we managed it? Solution is a policy to monetize our human resource. But who would champion this initiative? God's own Ghana deserves better. Share mixing, yeah, boa. Folks, we need time to really, as Shem is talking about, turn our human resource into human capital. Human resource you will be but we need to turn it to capital. It's just like digging gold from the ground and making an earring out of it, or chopping a tree and making a table or chair out of the tree. So as the natural resource human beings in there, 31 million. 31 million. We are all here. But turning us into capital so that the state, at the moment, 3 million people are paying taxes? Out of 31 million, in terms of direct taxes, 3 million people. Way too less. And so this 3 million people paying taxes, anybody 31 million now. You get me? So we need to slow down. And once you slow down and the schools are not under pressure, you'll be amazed what product you turn. And I really want us to look at this Denmark-Ghana scenario. So from 1950 to today, they've added 1 million people to their population. We've added 25 million. Look at their economy, the sika or more physical cash they have, and look at the physical cash we have. They are putting $24 billion a year to educate their people. We are doing 2 billion. So what product would you get out in the end? Yes, no problem. But what product would you generate? So it means that, if you have added 25 million people to your population, how many schools would you have needed from 1950 to now? Considering somebody who just added 1 million, how many schools do they need? Oh, like you build a polyclinic, it's full up. If you build a school, it's filled up. If you build a road, it's filled up. And so now the new thing is, Ansah Kwao mine, Keshire mine, Abeku mine. Just they are just towns springing up because the original population of Tema, I got it. It was some reasonable amount. Now it's like triple the amount of people Tema can take is now living in Tema. So then you have to move to Ansah Kwao mine, Oak mine, that mine, Mene mine, Way mine. And as soon as they build the mine, they are waiting for the state to bring roads, electricity, water, everything. So, as a government, you are constantly chasing. Because you have to take schools there, and once there are schools, you have to take hospitals. Once there are hospitals, they need water, they need sanitation, they need food, they need security, they need transportation. Jack, and easy. So you need to slow down. Look, a country like South Korea, every year, 350 new babies, the whole year. Ghana, 800 to 900,000 new babies every year. And these babies cost money. They should all be vaccinated. They must all go to some KG somewhere. That KG, they should have a teacher. They should do checkup, weighing. They will need nurses, and they will need a road to use to get to that. So, if you don't think about it like that, now one hour there, and what then happens is that we draw an imaginary line. We draw an imaginary line. Me, Ansah Kwao, I'm not going to take my child to this school because Charlie, school ain't yet. So me, I'll take my child to this school. So me, I'll sink my borehole. This, I'll build a wall and put electricity, barbed wire. The road is bad. I'll buy a 4-wheel drive. So if there are people living here who have created their own world, but naturally, nobody should go and buy a 4-wheel drive because crying yet. No, you buy a 4-wheel drive because you just wanted your luxury. But now it is a necessity. Nobody should sink a borehole. But in they were sinking borehole. So we are gradually dividing the country. And there are people who live here, but they are not living here. Everything. We're not providing the security, if it's doom so, or on a generator, everything. But that's not how you build a nation. That's not how you build a nation. There should be water for everybody, schools for everybody, roads for everybody, security for everybody. And yes, by all means, you have 1 or 2 people who can afford a bit more luxury and they'll have. But the basics, because water is not luxury. The fact that I sink a borehole or somebody sinks a borehole is luxury. No. Water is a basic necessity. So when people start paying for their basic necessity because going to me, we are heading for disaster. if you don't manage your population, everything gets affected. Everything, even culture gets polluted. Then people start migrating from the rural areas straight into the city. Everything is affected because the whole country is on a survival mode. All the government can produce is tokenism. What products can you get out of tokenism? Mr. Aye, PE teacher in Ajuna, thanks for tuning in. My brother Muhammad, salam alaikum, proprietor of Goil in Pong. If you had a Pong barrier, by now go to Goil and buy plantains in Ansah Kwao. And my dear sister, Amasewa, aka Florence Opoku. Thanks for tuning in. Folks, until the lions have their own historians, the tales of hunting would always glorify the hunter. Maswala Gbagba has lined up to give you your news.